So this is my mini Corona rant, um, and start out by saying I have been vaccinated, um, but I have delayed my booster because I'm just not convinced that things just don't fit together, and the fanaticism that the government is trying to get you to do this is just not. It doesn't look good to me. I don't trust the government, the media, Hollywood, or the intelligence agencies, or members of this flock of birds to not shit on me, or you for that matter. That's what the left does naturally. They flock together, they squawk a lot, and they shit on anyone below them that they want. So I brought along some fake shit to help with the explanation. So it kind of, I'll start with my situation. I've had a vaccine passport for almost 40 years due to traveling in Africa and Asia, where you can actually catch things like diphtheria, tetanus, polio, hepatitis A and B, but now I have these two in here, COVID. So I'm not an anti-vaxxer at all. But under the circumstances, it just doesn't add up. You know, for example, I went to my doctor here in our small town a few months ago when I had to travel to Belgium because I wanted to get some ivermectin because I'd read a lot about it, and it's very mitigating to COVID. And she said, "Why do you want it?" I said, "Well, because I'm going to Belgium to a big party. There's going to be a lot of unmasked people there, and in case I get COVID." And she said, "Well, there's no studies to show that it's effective, so I'm not giving it to you." So I didn't have time to debate it or the resources to debate it. But when I got back, I found resources with about 100 such studies confirming that ivermectin mitigates COVID. And I sent it to her, and guess what? I got no reply. Bull. No answer. Which leads me to the next question. Why would a doctor not confirm studies done on repurposed medicines, cheap, effective, very, very safe, proven over 40 years of widespread use in the world? Why would they not confirm those studies? And you just have to eventually come to the conclusion, especially given the circumstances, that something stinks, and it's probably the smell of money. Hospitals in the USA, I'm not sure about here in Switzerland, but hospitals in the USA are compensated a lot more for COVID. I've seen many instances of this, of doctors saying that yes, they have seen people classified as COVID deaths that came in with totally different circumstances, and also COVID cases. They come in with a fractured arm or leg or something, and they're listed as a COVID case. And that's got to make you wonder about the biased nature of of everything, just about, and especially health professionals like Fauci. And I'm not going to go into the details of him, but man, he's a bad guy. I've read a lot about him. The old saying, tax what you don't want and subsidize what you want, they're subsidizing COVID fear. I mean, it's very, very clear. And here you can't go to a restaurant or get on a plane without a vax certificate. That is bull. The FDA gave Pfizer 75 years to release the documents that they relied on, the FDA relied on, to give them the emergency approval to administer the vaccine. 75 years. What? 75 years? What? What is that? Why 75 years? Well, just so happens that the vaccine is meant for people over 18 years old. So that would mean when Pfizer had to release their information, everybody that had taken the vaccine would either be dead or 93 years or older. The youngest would be 93 years. Guess what? That's not much of a class action suit, is it? When everybody's already gone that could have anything to do with it. Remember that we have to pass the bill to find out what's in it? Yeah, well, it's the same people. Bull. You remember we need a lockdown 2 weeks to flatten the curve? That was 2 years ago. When the income tax was introduced in 1909 for the second time. Excuse me. There's a bit of COVID going on there. No, there's no way I have it. When income tax was introduced, everyone said it was progressives, obviously, that introduced it, and they had to put an amendment to the Constitution because it was unconstitutional. So the 16th Amendment was ratified. But yeah, they said that it will only be applicable to 1% of the population and only to 1% of their income. And look where that's gone. How many people paid income tax? How many working people paid income tax? And this kind of stuff, especially coming from a country, one of the most powerful countries in the world, even at that time, it's what spreads throughout the world. So, America is a leader in these types of things. So Fauci, he leads the world into lockdowns, which is bull. The FDA, for example, they get 45% of their money from pharmaceutical companies. Can you imagine? 45% of their budget, the FDA, comes from pharmaceutical companies. The NIH owns thousands of pharmaceutical patents. And the CDC spends $4.9 billion of their $12 million budget to buy and distribute vaccines. They are the largest front man for vaccine companies, for pharmaceutical companies, the CDC. And you wonder why information on ivermectin and such drugs is suppressed. It's very, very simple. The people in these companies, in these agencies, I should say, the FDA, the CDC, the NIH, they're not paid to uncover faults in vaccines. They're paid to cover them up. They're rewarded with more money when they cover them up. That's bull. And we'll just take my second home as a small example, Australia. Melbourne was locked down 260 days last year. 260 days. That's 2/3 of the year the city was locked down. And they just recently, evidently, had 80,000 active cases. So did the lockdown work? Well, there are some comparisons out there, but you won't find them in Google. You're going to have to go to another search engine like DuckDuckGo. Check it out. And lastly, there's a technology out there that will kill COVID in the air and on surfaces, which is 99% of how it is transmitted. It virtually instantaneously. And it's been out there for 15 or more years. It's used currently in the International Space Station. Why don't people know more about this? It's a completely viable solution for individuals and businesses. Why don't people know more about this? I'll be putting that video up soon. Please share it. I think you're figuring out the reason by now, at least the reason I think, and it seems pretty obvious that everyone should think that also. And that is bull. That's exactly right. And for my final statement, Joe Biden.